Assalamu alaikum guys, Dr. Shah Fahad is here on your screen. I hope you're doing well. Okay guys, so a lot of students are reaching out to me for the interview guidance of AK, of Ziauddin and Liaqat National and all the other private medical colleges that have started off giving admission offers and have started calling off students for interview calls now. Guys, interview is of two major types: academic or non-academic. If it is academic, they'll ask you questions related to chem, bio, physics, math, logical reasoning, general knowledge, anything that you might have studied or may have not studied. So it depends mainly on your luck how it goes. Okay. And secondly, it's non-academic. Non-academic is, and the purpose of interview is mainly non-academic. It's not really academic. Okay, some interviewers prefer asking academic stuff from the interviewees, but a lot of them prefer asking the non-academic questions. So non-academic, what's the purpose of the interview then? The purpose of the interview is to know more about you as a person, because they've already tested your knowledge on the test. They already know that, yeah, you know the periodic table very well. They've already tested the fact that, yeah, you know that where halogens lie in the periodic table, or for example, what is the reaction of calcium with oxygen and what product you get as a result of that reaction, or what's the decomposition of maybe magnesium nitrate or something like that. They already know that on the test. All they're testing now is to know you as a person. So just be very real. Make sure never to lie. Because when you lie, the interviewers are super experienced. They've interviewed thousands of individuals before you. That's not their first interview. They've done their homework very well. You need to do your homework now. Okay, how will you ensure that your interview is the best? It's the interview that will not be rejected. The possible the best possible technique, which I personally prefer, is making the interviewer ask you questions which you personally want to answer. Okay, now for example, if the interviewer asks you introduce yourself, which is an open-ended question, and in fact that's the very first question asked most commonly in interviews worldwide, including AKU, including any other university, including all the international universities, including residency interviews, etc., etc. Now, when this question comes, make sure to answer it with those qualities that you have, which you have very strong control on. Okay, for example, if I forget about me. For example, if there is a person who's a medical doctor, or forget about them as well, because you are not medical doctors at the moment. We're not doing medical interviews at the moment, but we're talking about pre-medical interviews. So now, for example, there is someone who has spent a lot of their time studying, but at the same time they might have been playing basketball, for example. So you have to introduce yourself, and for example, that person is an excellent player of basketball. Not just an excellent player of basketball, but has won a lot of trophies as well. Has been doing very well in basketball, knows A to Z about basketball. If you ask him any question in the middle of midnight and he's half awake, he'll answer the basketball related question correctly. So that's the quality that the interviewer should be getting in this as a response to this first question. Okay. Secondly, the interviewer is going to ask you questions related to your answer, because that's the most common technique tested in most of the interviews worldwide. Reason being the fact that the interviewers are going to be asking you cross questions so as to judge that the information that you are providing is accurate or not. Okay, if the information is not accurate, you won't be able to answer it correctly. Okay, so make sure to be real about it. Make sure to do your homework. Whatever question, whatever answer you provide, make sure to know very well about it. Okay, secondly, the next answer that you provide should be even better than the first one. Okay, and then the next one should be even better. So it's you who is guiding the interviewer towards the interview. Okay, you are the one who is taking this interview in a particular direction, in a direction that you have well prepared. If the interviewer starts asking the questions which they have prepared, then you're doomed. Okay, but again, if that happens, unfortunately, if even if that happens, doesn't really matter. Some interviewers are strict. They do ask ask away the questions which they have prepared, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that doesn't really mean that you should just stay there idle, not answering any questions anymore. No, you should still make the best out of it and choose the best possible option. How will you choose the best possible option? Try to integrate all those qualities that you have in those answers which they ask you next about your personality or about you. Okay? Apart from this, if they ask you some question related to facts and stuff, then it's okay to say no, I don't know about this fact because I've not studied it, and I don't really know about this stuff because it's not one of my fields of interest. But just be very clever about making such statements. Make sure to know common medical terms, common medical scenarios that are going currently in the world. Okay, like for example the licensing exam of the US, licensing exam of the UK, or stuff like that, which they, or the pathways that you personally are preparing for. For example, someone is preparing for the aiming for the USMLE, going to the US, practicing there as a maybe cardiologist, for example. You should know A to Z about a cardiologist. You should also know the fact that what's the difference between a cardiologist and a cardiothoracic surgeon. You should know about the medical and the surgical fields. You should also know what are the new interventions that are coming in that field. For example, an interventional cardiologist. Apart from that, you should also know about the USMLE itself. You should know when when exactly is it given. You should know all the different steps that are taken to clear the USMLE. All right. So any claim that you make must have a proof backing it. Okay, it must be completely true. It should not be false statement. It should not be a false claim. Apart from that, majority of the statements that you make, just try to back it with documentary proof if you have any. All right. For example, if someone says, I'm a very good cricketer, I'm a very good batsman, for example, how will you prove that? I'll tell you how will you prove that. For example, that same person has been playing for a local county club, and he might have helped them win a tournament for which they might have given him a certificate of appreciation. Or perhaps he's a part of that county and he might have some document, some admission letter or something like that. So that stuff is gonna be helpful. Alright, guys? So yeah, that's a bit about your interview guidance. And yeah, whenever you are concluding the interview, just make sure to ask the interviewer a bunch of questions as well. One or two questions, especially if that interviewer is a teacher, for example, a medical doctor. Usually it's the faculty that conducts interviews. Try to know about their subject, what subject they teach, and just try to show your interest in their subject. If you show interest in their field of work, then it's just human psychology. There are more chances of them accepting you as compared to the others. All right. Okay, guys. So that's my interview. Now, another very important fact. Those of you, this is the general guidance. Okay, so majority of you should be fine with this. But if someone wants extra time with me, wants to have a one-on-one mock interview, it's gonna be a paid service, of course, because I don't really. I'll need to find a lot of time for that, and I'll need to prepare as well, and I'll need to take out time. So, guys, that's gonna be a paid service. If you need that, just drop me a message on my Instagram, and I'll share the details with you. All right. If you need a mock interview, just let me know immediately. Assalamu alaikum.